We only have our guest for a short time. He's got stuff to do. He has written a book. Author. His name is Slash, back on the program. Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, if my partner and I were to go anywhere dressed like this, they'd look at us and go, what's up with you? You have to be a rock god to be able to pull those pants off. That's awesome stuff.
I think he's asking you to pull your pants off.
Right. I don't know if he's pulling my chain or not.
No, you look great, man. You look great. How you feel?
I'm good for this early in the morning.
Yeah.
But
all right, well, this book, you know, a lot of guys will write a book, and it's a couple hundred pages, and yeah, I remember that one time, and hey, this is introspective. It's 500 pages long.
Almost
500 pages, and it's some great photography in here as well. When did you have the idea you wanted to do this?
Let's see. Well, I never really had the idea. It was suggested to me a bunch of times. And I turned the idea down. I was like, I see no point in writing a book. It seems too final. It's not interesting. It's too, self-important and self-indulgent and so on. And then at some point, I got so frustrated with the amount of brouhaha over the whole Guns N' Roses thing that just kept snowballing.
Yeah.
And I met with a writer, which is Anthony Boza. And we talked, and I told him a couple little stories along the way, and he said, really, you should do this. And so finally I said, okay, well, let's do it and see what happens.
And as just like you said, almost 500 pages. How long did it take? Was this
It actually went pretty quick. I sat with Anthony, and it started out pretty naive. I thought it was going to be really easy. I'll just sit with him, do an interview, like an extended Rolling Stone interview or something like that. And then he'll write the book, and that'll be it, and I'll go on about my business. Yeah. Anyway, so we sat around about 3 or 4 hours a night, like 4 or 5 days a week for about a month or so, doing the actual interviewing part. Then he sent me the first chapter, and it was accurate, but it was the wrong voice. It was just him writing what his perception of what I told him.
Okay.
And so I had to get in there and write. And so then the part where I started writing lasted all the way up through the making of the record, into the tour, right up to the deadline. So altogether, it probably took I'd say about 7 months.
Now, are we talking about you and a laptop?
A lot of the time, I was just, like a lot of, there's a lot of recall I was mentioning earlier that I had to all of a sudden really start leaning on for a lot of this information, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to remember it. And so what happened was towards the end, right up against the deadline, I started thinking of a lot of stuff, a lot of anecdotes came up, a lot of stories that I hadn't remembered earlier, and so I started just wherever I was doing it on my BlackBerry.
Wow.
Sending it to the editor, bypassing Anthony altogether and just sending it to the editor.
Those are busy thumbs.
Yeah. It was fun though. At the end of the day,
was this Anthony Boza, this writer? Was he open to you coming to him and going, it's the wrong voice. I want to.
Yeah, he was great. I felt sort of bad because I felt like I was insulting him, but it was just because this is the first and last book I'll probably ever write. I was like, this is really important. There's a lot of stuff about certain people that I'm very close with, band members and family and some other good friends and so on, and it had to be chronologically correct. And even though in my mind it seems simple, to somebody else you feed him all this information, it's really coming from all different directions. He starts to put it down, can't remember stuff correctly, this, that, and the other. Like he's not sure, did this happen here, did this happen there? He has no clue. And so I look back and I go, I really need to fix this, because if I screw this up, everybody's going to be pissed off, or at least coming down on me for not being right and telling me all the time, like, this happened at such and such a time and you're wrong.
You want to be accurate.
Yeah. Now, if you don't mind, we've had you on the show on several occasions, and some of those visits were you, and it was a blast either way, but you had a bottle of Jack Daniels in front of you and you were partying at 7 o'clock in the morning. Now, from what we understand, that's kind of, you've made some changes in your personal life. Do you want to get into some of that?
Well, let's see. Yeah, I used to always carry the bottle. I probably was up from the night before, But yeah, I think a lot of that started to slow down. I sort of been juggling between being sober and being under the influence. This has been going on for a few years. And then finally, I got to a point where I went on this binge. Actually, I met Anthony during the binge, and that was like a year ago. And I said, okay, I want to do the book, but then didn't get into it until I got my act cleaned up. And I just got sick and tired of the whole thing. I think it's almost a cliche, sick and tired of being sick and tired. And went to rehab for a month, and that was right before the band went in the studio to do the Libertad record, Velvet Revolver. And that's when I started writing the book. And it's been great because I wouldn't have been able to do any of it under the the kind of influence that you know me for, right?
Now, you're not drinking at all then?
I haven't had a drop in a year and a half, almost a year and a half.
How is that? I mean, you lived through the haze of alcohol and whatever you were doing, and now it's nothing. So can you honestly put into words what that's like to be free and clear?
Let's see. It's just takes a lot of pressure off in some ways. I don't feel like I'm chasing this thing around all the time, because that's basically what you end up doing. You end up with such an intense habit that you always have to have a drink on you no matter what you do. Anytime you walk out the door, you got to make sure there's a bar. I mean, I don't want to go into detail. And the same with the drugs. It's like you're always chasing a high around that you're never going to get again. I think you just do it to the point where you've done it all and there's nothing else to get out of it.
Did you ever have fear that if you'd stop, you wouldn't be as creative?
No, because I sort of different than most of musicians, that use. I didn't use drugs to be creative. I sort of bypassed that. I grew up watching musicians do that. And what would happen is they would not be able, obviously, to be able to create, and then you couldn't get high enough to be able to create, and eventually they just burn out altogether. So I sort of had this subconscious trigger that kept me from leaning on alcohol and leaning on drugs to be able to feel. I mean, I admit, with alcohol, it was always like pick up the guitar, make a cocktail, chill out, and write a song. But it hasn't really turn the writing process upside down, not being able to have a drink.
What does we hear a lot in the news now with the Lindsay Lohans and the Britneys and the whatever. What did rehab do for you? What is the process that one goes through?
Yeah, I'm not really what you call the conventional rehab guy. I went to a place where I was the only client there, and I really just used it to sit back and chill out, get away from everybody, get clean first, and just spend that time sort of checking myself out and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I enjoyed just the solitude. As far as all these other people, I don't know what they're, everybody needs a program. If they need one, they have to find some program that they feel comfortable with and all that. And I don't know much about everybody else's story.
All right. Did you have to find a new circle of friends?
No. I actually enjoy hanging out with all my screw up friends.
And they still partying?
Yeah, short of junkies and stuff.
Right.
When I go out, I hate people who don't drink when I'm with them. I actually feel more comfortable if they are drinking.
Good.
So I know you want to go out, right?
Yeah. Go on. Party with someone.
We always threaten to go out right after the show.
Always do. Never do. Not once.
Now, so let's get into, there's a Guns N' Roses that's out there with Axl. Fans of that band are waiting on Chinese Democracy. It may never come out.
It'll come out.
And there's also been talk from you as to whether or not the Guns N' Roses with you would ever happen again. And you were kind of positive in a way that you said, well, you kind of never know what the thing. So you've not totally shut the door, it doesn't seem.
Well, I did. I have said that. I've said a lot of different things because I'm not really sure how to answer that. And so you think, depending on what mood you're in, it's like you can be totally pessimistic about it, and then actually you really don't even know enough to be able to say that. But I don't see it in the foreseeable future because I've got a great band and we're touring right now. We've got another record to do, and that's all that's within my sides. But there's so much time. There was a reunion that was actually happening at one point as per the internet and different media outlets. And that's probably what prompted the book more than anything. But I really don't want to be like, it'll never happen. I'm pissed off and screw him and screw everybody else and all that kind of stuff. But I just don't see it happening the way things are going. And the band has never ever discussed it. I mean, for fans, I think it would be cool to put together a short little tour and give everybody a show and so on. I mean, but if it would have been that easy, we probably never would have broke up in the first place. So it's a double-edged sword.
How is your relationship with Axl right now?
I still haven't, we've never even sought each other out. So I haven't talked to him since I left.
Well, that's a surprise for you, Slash. He's here with us. Come on in.
That would be a surprise.
That would be interesting.
Well, man, you know what? Sober or drunk, you're always great. We always love seeing you.
Yeah, I wasn't a bad drunk,
No, you weren't.
I was always on an even keel. I just had my cocktail and,
Sure. You weren't a bad drunk, but either way, it's good to have you. The reason we have Slash in today, there is a brand new book that's out. It's called Slash. It seems excessive, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
I love that part. We wish we could have had more time with you because we always really enjoy
I know.
your
I
visits.
sort of like just hanging out here. I didn't know we were in a rush, but we do have like this whole day full of stuff we have to do.
You're always welcome to come back.
It's crazy. Yeah. I'll just come back and hang out one of these days.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Get me a spot. I'll take like a question section or something. I'll do the weather.
Slash on the weather.
Well, man, look. You look great. It's obvious that you're happy, and it's just whatever form. We're always glad to see you.
Well, thanks for having me.
The
Thanks
best.
for having me. It's great.
All right, nice.
We'll do business. We'll return. It's the Mark and Brian radio program.